And I'm using an 11 by 14 canvas, and I'm using a Angular Bright Princeton Dakota 6300 series, big brush. This will be when I get down into the grasses. And then for my sky, which I'm gonna start with my sky, I'm gonna use this brush. It's a little bit smaller. As you can see, the canvas is already painted a watered down yellow on the bottom half, a little bit more than half. It goes just a smidge above the halfway line. And I tried a small version in my art journal by painting the whole canvas yellow, and I didn't like how long it took for me to wait for the paint to dry to get the blue on there without it turning green. So that's why I decided I'm only gonna go up a little over halfway with the yellow paint. Let's start with our sky. Okay, so for our sky, hi Sherry, hi Tanya. I'm gonna start with ultramarine blue. I'm gonna get a little bit of that on my plate. So, ooh, that's a lot. Got a little bit of that, and then let's get a nice helping of white, titanium white. Titanium white. All right, let's get our white on here, and that, I want a good healthy amount of that. And let's, I'm gonna get my brush just a smidgen damp, but I'm gonna tap it off on my paper towel because I don't want it to be too runny. And I'm gonna start up at the top, and I'm gonna try to work really fast. In fact, you know what? Let me get my little spray bottle, spray my plate a little bit here to try to keep these paints wet. And I'm gonna start up here at the top, and I'm just gonna get some color down real quick if I can. I'm gonna try to move as fast as I can, and I hope you can see over my head. All right, let's get some more blue paint on here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pull it all the way up onto this top of this canvas as well, on the sides. I can come back and really do a better job of that later. So let's just get this paint on here. So starting with just straight out of the tube, and I want this upper section to be much darker. And then the lower I get towards the field, the ground, I want it to get lighter and lighter. And I'm already gonna start digging into my white and getting that mixed in. And I'm gonna kind of work that up a little bit. Let's get a little bit more blue, because I didn't get my coverage over here the way I wanted it. So we're getting our blue up there. Now I'm gonna dip back into my white, and I'm gonna just like kind of pull that down a little bit and up. I'm gonna kind of keep moving back and forth. And then I'm gonna get even more white on my brush. Let's get more. Hopefully you guys can see over my head. And I'm having to hold this painting. Okay, so I'm really gonna try to scrape the blue that's in my brush onto this canvas. And it's okay if it dips down into the yellow a little bit. No worries. Okay, now the thing that I did on my commissioned painting that my sister really liked is I kind of had my sky going in a curve, like a smiley face. And I'm just gonna pull that curve right up into the atmosphere. And pulling that white back up in here, and I'm gonna leave some of it wispy, just like a lightly cloudy day, very lightly cloudy. And then I'll pull some of that blue kind of back down into here. And I just want to make sure I've got my curves really going gracefully like this. And let's make sure we got a little cloud way up here at the top. Okay. Actually, let's pull that. So just making sure my little wispy clouds are the way I want them. And you can do yours however you want yours, of course. And that's gotten way too blue down here. So I'm just gonna pull a lot of white back in over that. That's okay though, because this is actually gonna be covered by grasses to some degree. I'm just gonna pull this down into the blue just a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna stop there for my sky. And let me just get my brush over here into the water. And I need to come over here and deal with the computer real quick. Okay, so I am gonna move into my field. So for my field, I have all sorts of greens. So I'm just gonna load up my plate. I've got, this is Hooker's Green Hue Permanent. It's not the dark one. It's the lighter Hooker's Green. I've got this beautiful phthalo yellow green by Grumbacher. Gonna get that on my plate. And I'm gonna put some of the dark Hooker's Green Deep on my plate. If I can get the lid open, let's put that right there. Okay, so far I've got my 3 greens and one more. Let's put our, I didn't bring any brown over, but I do have yellow ochre. I'm gonna go ahead and put some yellow ochre on the plate. I may have to go grab some sort of brown, but for now, let's just start with what I've got here. And I'm gonna start with my big, beautiful Dakota Series brush. I'm gonna dip into that lighter version of the Hooker's Green. And I'm gonna kind of start down here and just flick up and start laying down some grasses deeply, in other words, down here. I'm gonna move that a little bit. So I'm just gonna kind of pull these in, and I'm gonna try to go every which way. Let's get some more paint on the old brush. And I've got blue already on my little thing here. This is not easy either. I was thinking this might be easier doing this painting on the easel and letting you all kind of look over the shoulder, because when I do it on my desk, the camera is so high up that it's sometimes hard to see. So as you can see, I'm just using the brush and I'm just kind of going every which way, just laying some grasses in. Just kind of pouncing the brush a little bit. And I'm gonna pull this up again so I can get down here. This is where I really wanna start getting my coverage, is down here. And I'll let it go off the sides a little bit. Okay, let's pull some of this And I'm gonna bring my grasses up high in some spots. And I'm gonna kind of lean some of them inward, some of them outward. Same thing over here. Let's kind of pull, get a little bit more paint. Let's pull a grass up here and kind of lean some of them different directions. Okay. And now let's step back, kind of take a look. I'm going to pull some of that green down here, and I'm going to pull some more blades of grass over here. Just kind of moving my brush in different directions. When you think of a field of flowers, you know, you see wind has impacted it, and it's going to go every direction. Okay, let's do a little bit. I'm just kind of darkening up a few of these blades over here. Trying to kind of keep some balance, and I'm kind of trying to keep this whole curved flow going. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the dark green, the deep hooker's green. And I don't want to get a ton of that on my brush. I just want a little bit. And again, I'm just going to come down here and kind of start flicking it in. Pouncing this beautiful brush. I just love how this brush works. I'm going to get loaded up again, and I'm just going to start letting some of these come up higher. Keep my brush pretty well loaded here. Let's pull some of these down into here and some up here. So I'm just pouncing this darker green, pouncing it in. Let's get some more on the brush. And some of them I do want to have them look like really pronounced, and others I don't want them as pronounced. Trying to vary size and trying to vary values of how dark. So I'm going to pull some of this into a few of these grasses up here. Kind of like this blade right here, but I want to continue it up a little further. Let me set this down and kind of move this out here again. It's hard for me to work on the bottom of the canvas with it on this easel. Okay, so I'm going to step back and I'm going to see, do I want any more dark blades anywhere, and maybe just a few hints. And then now I kind of want to just switch into my ochre. So I'm going to just wipe some of that dark green off on my plate and just get a little bit of that ochre on my brush. And I'm just going to kind of pull that in also in a few spots, not everywhere. And I might even want to wait. I didn't want that kind of smearing to happen there. I want to keep my blades of grass, if I can, kind of keep them thinner. But I do like, you know, having some go every direction. Different lengths. So I'm just going to pull some down. As I get towards the bottom, I'm not worrying about them being so skinny and perfect. I'm letting them smear a little bit more. Okay, I want to come back with my dark green and pull in a nice dark blade of grass right over that smeary one. In fact, I'm even gonna pull in, well, no, I'm gonna wait. So let me step back and just kind of take a view and see, okay, how am I liking my grasses? I'm gonna pull that one in, kind of curve it on the side, maybe even put a little curve to that one on the side as well. Okay. All right, so I've got my kind of my swooping going. And then the last thing I want to do here, and I think if I can rinse this big beautiful brush, I think I'll just keep my big Dakota series brush going if I can rinse it the way I want to. I'm gonna dab it off on a paper towel too. I think that should be good. I'm gonna get a little bit of this yellow ochre, and I kind of just wanted to pull in a beautiful little golden tone. And I should have done this before I put my grasses in, actually. So I may have to come back and do some of my blades of grasses again, go over them a little bit, because I really wanted this bright yellow to kind of peek through. And I'm gonna take a little white, that titanium white, and kind of tone it down. And it's just kind of like a golden haze, I guess you could say. Just a little golden haze hovering above the field. So I am just going to kind of pull that right over those blades of grasses that I just did. And I'm going to let that just be. I'm going to let that, let's see. I do kind of want to fix this right here. So I'm going to go into a little bit of white, a little bit of that ochre, and just kind of pull in a lighter shade right here, because it dragged some of that green in there, and I didn't really want that. Okay, there. I'm going to leave that alone. And then I'm going to come back in and kind of redo some grasses. I may have to let that dry a little bit. Let's see, I don't know. So like I said, if you go back and do it with the replay, do your little golden yellow ochre haze before you do your grasses. That'll save you some going back and having to redo your grasses. So let's see if I can get, I'm going to go back and put a little bit more of this Hooker's Green hue on my plate to see if I can't get some of these grasses put back in. So like right here, we'll just come and pull these right over the top of that yellow. And my brush is a little bit wet, so they're not quite as thin as I wanted. So just FYI, if you want to wait till it dries a little bit more, that might help your brush stay easier to deal with. Okay, I'm going to kind of pull some of these up into the golden haze. And just moving that field up a little bit higher to kind of cover over that golden haze. Now let's get into our darker Hooker's Green. And I'm just going to kind of pull a few of those nice dark stripes over the tops. And let's get some over here. And some dark coming in over here and pull these down. All right, I'm kind of scanning to see where I need to go over. So I think I'll move back. I'm gonna rinse my brush again, and I'm gonna go into my yellow ochre. Okay, so we've got our yellow ochre, and see these grasses here, they just need to be reintroduced to the painting. They need to be brought back in. That's the nice thing about acrylics, is when you forget a step or you don't like the way something turns out, you can just paint right over it. You can let it dry first. I'm not letting it dry because of time and because I'm live, and I don't have my blow dryer near me. So let's see, I want to pull a different green. I want to pull some of that brighter green in a few places. Okay, now let's step back. Maybe a little ochre down here in a few spots. Okay, now I'm still not done with my grasses. I have this beautiful here now to do this, but just to kind of show you how you can pull in, and yeah, I'm gonna have to wait till it dries because it's just picking up the paint unless I give it a really light touch, which I can do that sometimes. Nice light touch. But this just adds like a whole beautiful dimension, I think. This phthalo green just really kicks things up. Kicks things up a notch. So I'm just making sure I've got lots of paint on my brush so that when I flick it, it doesn't grab that paint underneath and smear it too much. Okay, let me stand back and see. I think I want one going right here. And it's okay if we've got these little curly cues every so often. That's what grasses do, right? They kind of have a mind of their own. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and pull some of those in. Okay, so I've got my grasses kind of loading. I'm going to go back into this darker green and just pull a little bit more in a few places down here. Okay, I think I better leave her alone is what I think. And of course, the minute I say that, then I go right back in and start messing with it some more. I'm gonna stop. And the next step will be to put in the flowers. And that's gonna be a whole nother session. So I'm gonna let this dry. And then when I come back next week, it'll be next Friday. Wow, that's a long time. It'll be next Friday, starting at 2 Eastern again. And I will probably use some of the same flowers I used in my commissioned piece. So you'll want to have some, if you're gonna do the painting, you'll wanna have some reds, some purples, white and red can make beautiful pinks. What did I have? I had daisies in there, and yellows, beautiful yellows. But you can be creative and choose whatever colors you're gonna want your flowers to be. So my hands are kind of covered with paint. Let me I'm gonna get this camera down, okay? And I'm gonna flip it around, and I'm gonna come over here. I didn't get a chance with my camera this direction. I'm sitting on a stool. Let me get up. I didn't get a chance to look at the laptop very much, so I just wanna check it. Okay, I think we're okay. Let's see, are we okay? Huh, anyway, okay. I can't see the comments on my laptop at the moment, so I want you to have a very beautiful, wonderful weekend, and I'm gonna show you this real quick. That's our start to our field of flowers, and then we'll come in and we'll just sprinkle all kinds of flowers right in there, and that'll be lots of fun. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Many blessings. Many blessings. I'm about ready to cough and sneeze at the same time. Have a great weekend.